how have I gone from this to this in 10 weeks? Well, the first thing I did was hit up Google. I needed to do my research. I needed to find out where I was going. I knew I had a time frame of 12 weeks. I knew I had about 3 weeks before I needed to start that program. So I did as much research as possible, and I found out everything I could. I read hundreds, what seemed like hundreds of articles. I finally settled on what was called an article called The Ultimate Cutting Diet by Layne Norton on simplyshredded.com. I read through this article over and over again just so I made sure that I understood everything it was trying to say. And it's the one that really made the most sense to me, because it took you through really logically how you would work out your macros to cut, and it also explained all the science behind it, which I like to know everything I'm supposed to be doing. So if someone asks me, then I can explain and I know what I'm talking about. I ended up coming up with a diet that was 2,700 calories. So that'd give you a nice 400 calorie deficit just using diet alone. And this was made up of 318 grams of protein, which was 48% of my calories, 224 grams of carbs, which was 34% of my calories, and the last bit, 53 grams of fat, which was 18% of my calories. Now, I used this diet for the first 8 weeks, and it worked really well for me. So it suggests to lose like 1 to 1.5 pounds a week, and I was aiming dead in the center, 1.3, and it actually worked. I was pretty surprised. I feel like I got lucky and nailed it first time. So I did all right there. But after about the 8th week, it started to slow down a little bit. So I thought, instead of upping my cardio, I'd rather do it through diet. So after the 8 weeks, I dropped off a little bit of carbs and a little bit of fat, up the protein a little bit, and that brought my numbers to 185 grams of carbs, making those 30%, 47 grams of fat, making that 17% of my calories, and I upped the protein a little bit to 321 grams, making those 15%. So I keep looking down, I had to write those down, I can never remember the numbers. But that brought the calories down to 2,470. So the new diet for the last 4 weeks, 2,470 calories. As I've gone through, I've got a bit smarter with my meals, so they've become more interesting. Still just as healthy, exactly the macros I need, but somehow I managed to come up with more interesting ways to eat them, which has worked pretty well for me. I think probably the next big change in anyone's diet who's going into a competition is always going to be sort of the last 2 weeks, but especially the very last week or peak week. I spent probably about a good 2 weeks working out what I was going to do, reading even more articles, because I love a bit of research, trying to work out what I should do with my carbs and salt and water and how I should do it. And I finally decided on tapering down the carbs to the middle of the week and then reloading back on again up to competition day. The other way of doing it is preloading carbs and then tapering them down to the competition, but that requires sort of on the morning of the competition almost reloading carbs in that one day. And because I haven't had so a lot of people have like white bread or real fast acting like sort of high GI carbs when they do that on the day. I haven't used any of those really in my diet, so I don't think my body would be used to that. So I stayed away from that, and I'm gonna spend about 3 days, I think it was, sort of reloading my carbs up to just over the normal amount I've been having each day. So I'm gonna go up to 300, just over 300 grams of carbs the day before my competition, and that'll be my way of sort of refilling and trying to get the most out of my muscle. So that's how I'm gonna do it. What I will do is the beginning of my final week, I will go through it properly. I'll do a video then and explain what I've got planned and talk through that. But for now, that's how I've got this far. Make sure you do your research. You cannot do enough research. The one thing I did pick up from reading all those articles is almost all of them at the very end or somewhere in it will say, but you got to do what's best for you. So always keep that in your mind. Don't use exactly what the article says as the word of law. Take everything you've read take it all on board, sort through it, and find out what you think will work best for you, because everyone's different. To sum it up, it's trial and error. But here's what I've done, and hopefully you can take parts of what I've done and put it into your own diet. So I'll do a video again later on the week about refeed days, which I've incorporated set intervals into my diet. They're really important, and I will go through them on another video. Thanks guys, see ya.